I'm here with another Dutch author, Gaby Raaijmakers, and you have written not just the two books that you're holding in your hand, but actually already this is your fourth book.
This is a trilogy which is done, completed, and this is the first of a new trilogy.
I'm immediately intrigued by the covers because that's what I see first. So I see this eye staring at me with a very bright golden color. What's the idea behind the eye?
Well, the eyes are a very prominent feature in the books. Um, the books are about a world where eye color is everything. You get born with an eye color, and that's what you'll be in life. So if you're born with blue eyes, you'll be a servant for the entirety of your life. And actually, the next one after that. Well, if you have golden eyes, you are part of the emperor's family, which makes you having a pretty good life. So it determines in which class you are, and it's quite strict. I can look at your eye color and know if you're allowed to walk around here or not. So it has a pretty big effect on life, and not everyone agrees with that. So the struggle for freedom is actually what it's about.
Trying to be able to be yourself, to explore the world on your own terms instead of it being determined by society.
Definitely. I mean, if you have black eyes and you don't want to be a thief, well, in this world you have to be, but maybe it can be a different world. That's what Bronna is trying to find out.
I'm very curious. I've got brown eyes. What does that condemn me to?
You would be a woodworker or someone, an ambachtsman.
Okay, someone who just makes a craftsman.
Craft.
I think I can live with that. That's better than, someone who is part of the toilet cleaning cast.
There's definitely worse, yes.
So the whole idea of the story is someone who wants to break free of that, or multiple people who want to kind of transcend this rigid societal structure, and that of course is obviously not going to be easy.
It is not, no. Bronna is from another country where they don't have this system with the eye colors. So she gets married to the son of the emperor. So she gets married into a big family. But she gets there and she thinks, hold on, what's this? Why don't we act normal? She used to have green eyes. But of course, she went to a temple. The gods gave her golden eyes so she could marry the emperor's son. But it did feel right. And she is really trying hard to make a difference, which is difficult because she doesn't really fit in. So politically, she doesn't have any friends or people who are helping her. The mages aren't helping either because they are trying to do a power grab, which quite gets in the way of what she's trying to achieve. So no, the next book actually is about her kids, the next generation. So it's up to them to take it further.
So every book skips a new or enters a new generation of children who then take up where their parents left.
It is. Well, you can't change the way things were for 1,000 years in 3 years. It has to be over generations. If it happens at all. I'm not going to spoil it.
I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. Now, it sounds to me as this is a theme that I've seen in a number of modern books right now. And I would be surprised if it also has to do a little bit about our struggles in our real world with segregation and the fact that if you're born in a certain country or you have a certain skin color, you are actually being condemned to live a certain lifestyle. Was that on your mind when you started to write this?
Definitely. It's not accidentally that the blue eyes aren't on top or that they're below. Um, I've always been intrigued by the fact that there was this experiment a long time ago where the teacher told the kids, oh, kids, I've learned something new. Today I've learned that kids with blue eyes are smarter, so they're better. Look, he has his glasses, he's smarter, he's better. So starting today, blue kids will sit in the front, they get to drink first, they get to play with the stuff, and the others don't. And she did that for a week. And after a week, she said, oh, I made such a mistake. Yeah, you can tell I have blue eyes. I made a mistake. Kids with brown eyes are better. And the kids actually went along with it like that, which amazed me. So it's a little bit about the power of telling stories and how easily it is to get people to participate in this.
Can manipulate using stories and then making people believe it and act upon it.
Definitely. Yeah.
Now, of course, as a writer, you're writing to entertain your readers, but it feels to me that you also have a message. Well, what do you hope is the takeaway that people have when they read your books?
Well, you always hope that if people read this, they are going to reflect on life as it is right now, which, in my opinion, could be better. Um, I think it's my message is let everyone be who he or she wants to be. Accepting more, listening more to each other instead of deciding what's wrong or right. Yeah.
I love it. And then you said the first trilogy is finished, and you have started to write another series of books. Does that's the book with the dragon on the cover, the blue one? I love that cover. I see three adventurers on an island looking at this amazing huge dragon. Is this taking place in the same world, or is it a sequel, or
It's a new trilogy. It does take place on the island where they went in the third book of this trilogy. So it's if you've read it, it's familiar territory. If you haven't read it, you just sometimes have moments where you think, "Ma," and otherwise you would think, but it's completely new. It's actually my friends invited me to play D&D, and they asked me to be the dungeon master. As a story writer, you can wake me up for stories any time of the day, so I said yes. But I said, all right, I'm going to put you in familiar terrain for me. So they were put into the world that I knew quite well. And for everyone who has played Dungeons and Dragons, it's a game with dice, and it's a bit of storytelling. You tell a story, and sometimes they have to roll dice to see if they can actually succeed or not. Um, and as a dungeon master, you have this situation where you prepare because they might do A, or they could do B, and they could do C as well. And just to be sure, you prepare D because you never know. But they don't do any of that. They do something that you could never have expected. And that makes for such wonderful stories because you have to improvise and be quick in your thinking, quick on your feet, go with the flow and just go, which I really love. And that provided stories that were so great that I thought, all right, this definitely has to be my next trilogy.
that is so original to see someone who uses her experience as a dungeon master in D&D as a source of new stories for a book. I think more dungeon masters should do that.
I think so too, because there are great stories out there, and people don't realize how great their stories are. It's so easy to think, oh, yeah, this story is fun for us, but the stories are often great. And like I said, they have such unexpected ways they go, which makes them rather unique in my experience. So if you're a dungeon master, go write your story. Do it.
And what would you advise these aspiring writers? You are a seasoned writer. You've accomplished something that few writers actually can do, and that is to finish the book that they have in their mind. What is your biggest piece of advice?
Well, my biggest piece of advice is actually what you just said. Just finish it. There's getting to that 80%, we all kind of do that. But those last 20% are the 20% that count. Um, just do it. You might think it's not the best. It doesn't matter. Everything that you write makes you write better. So finish your story and let someone read it if you're brave enough. It's what I did. Got me here.
And do you have a system when you write? Do you have a certain writer's discipline, or are you more of an inspirational writer? You just whenever the fire hits you, you start writing.
Well, it's different because with this book, I was an organic writer. Sometimes my characters did things that I didn't expect them to do. And then I was like, oh, this makes sense, but oh, my storyline. This one, however, is more like writing a story that has happened before because my Dungeons and Dragons games is the thing that keeps us going. So it's like doing a historic novel based on a Dungeons and Dragons game, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. And it gives you also a good foundation for the rest of the story because it, in a way, has already happened. You're just a chronicler.
That's true. It's difficult. In Dutch, I call it, it's hard to overboeken, which means how do you translate a game into a book? Because there's always storylines that never work completed. Do I make up how they are completed? Do I just not put them in there? That's always, yeah, something that you have to think about a lot, which you don't have in a book where you're, well, the head of the story or the teller, you decide. So that made this a different progress, but I really love it.
It's super exciting. You mentioned before we started interviewing that you have kids as well. Um, are, are they readers or are they still too young for that?
One of them's too young. The other one is he's a reader. He mostly reads Donald Ducks though, so
That's a good start. That's how I got started as well.
that's true. So, and I'm not gonna push him because I know that doesn't work. So, if he reads that a lot, one day maybe he'll read my books. We'll see.
And when you were a child yourself, what got you into reading and into storytelling?
I always loved writing stories since I was 6. I think I have still have these books of white paper where I made the drawings and I wrote things and they were put together with those garbage trash thingies where you van die clipjes.
Right, like
Right.
you used paper clips and stuff, and then just you made your own like album almost of.
Definitely. And I started writing at some point, and when I got into my puberty, I think it was a good way for me to escape. Because, well, kids weren't always nice at school. And I really needed this as a place that was safe for me, a place where I could decide what happened, where I was on top. So that really got me into writing and reading. And that made me finish my first book of 1,500 pages when I was 15. I sent it to a big uitgever, which said, thankfully, we don't think this is our genre, but do go on with writing, which really saved my life. Because if I had a devastated reaction, I don't know if I would have stood here. So I'm so grateful for that. So I kept on writing and, well, got me here. So finish your book and try it.
And you said something really interesting in the sense that when you were going through a difficult time at school and maybe kids not accepting you, writing was a way for you to take back your own power. And so, and I hear this a lot that the process of writing can have almost a therapeutic aspect to it. And when I hear you talk about your story about the eye color and all that societal pressure, I get the feeling that also relates a little bit to your own personal experience.
Definitely. I mean, they say write what you know, but I think that's what you do because it's what you know. Um, when I was 9, we moved to Belgium and we lived there for 10 years. And in the beginning, it was fine, but at a certain point, I upset someone. And that was the moment when they thought, oh, she's a cheesehead. And a whole class went along with it, just like the eye colors. If someone shouts hard enough, everyone goes along with it, and they shouldn't. They shouldn't have. Wasn't nice. You were mean to me.
And there's nothing wrong with cheeseheads. We have a country full of cheeseheads.
I know.
And they're fine people. Yeah, but if you are the only exception, you feel everything's wrong with you, and if only you could be like the other kids.
Yep, definitely. And well, that was primary schools, but the secondary school was next to that. And me and my parents naively thought that everything would be better once I got there. It didn't, because we were the same kids, only in secondary school. So after that, they took me to another school in the Netherlands, which did mean a hell of a drive every morning to get to school, which is good because that was reading time.
And in the end, you got the upper hand. You get to determine how your stories end,
That's
and your message will be remembered, and not all the bullies.
exactly.
Isn't that the sweetest revenge?
It is. It is.
Well, it was so nice to get to know you and to hear about your writing endeavors. I'm looking forward to checking out your books and your stories, and I can't wait to see what happens on that island with those dragons.
Well, thank you.
Where can people find you if they want to check out your work?
They can find me at GabyRaaijmakers.com, or they can find me at the art bookshop that's by Silverbrook.
Wonderful. Again, I wish you all the best for your writing career, and thank you so much for sharing all that creativity with us.
Thank you.